Here's how to underwrite a single family property out in Jacksonville, Florida. So here we got a $160,000 purchase. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, a little over 1,200 square feet. We're gonna go ahead and hop on Zillow here. So they have a fancy little monthly cost calculator here to look at what your mortgage is gonna be. So with a $160,000 purchase, your down payment is going to be $32,000, so that's 20%. With a non-owner occupied purchase, a conventional loan, usually a lender is going to want to see 20% down, sometimes even 25% down. Once you start to get 3 or 4 mortgages underneath your name, you put 5% down. So about $32,000 plus an additional about 2 to 3% for closing costs and things of that sort. It's just kind of pay to play. But $32,000 in the equity as a down payment. So your debt on this property is going to be about $128,000. So the monthly cost, so let's find out what the mortgage is going to be. I like to run my interest rate at about 6.5% plus or minus on a 30-year fixed. And then also why I like to use just Zillow as a quick and easy is it also gives me my property tax and homeowner insurance, about $103 here a month, $56 here. I've been doing this well, so I kind of understand that that's pretty accurate. Plus or minus won't hurt. So total out of pocket, your mortgage is going to be $968. So this doesn't count in consideration maintenance, expenses, property turn, things of that sort. This is just out of pocket every single month your mortgage. So looking at this deal, we got to find out what rent is, obviously. So if I look down here at the price and history, we always want to look at the history of a property. Every property tells a story because it was owned by somebody before, and you can kind of look at the numbers and decipher kind of a story behind it. So this property looks like it was listed for rent for about $1,250 a month for rent. So it's kind of worrisome that they just listed it for rent and then now they want to go ahead and sell it. So this tells me that the property is probably vacant. Wonder why they are looking at selling it right now. Also, it had a $5,000 price reduction, but here's what's a little worrisome is that the property was actually listed for rent back in January of 2023 for the same price and listing removed. So what this tells me is that they got a tenant in it, listing removed, and they did a property turn, so there's a tenant moved out. Now the property's back in the market. So when you look at a property that's always on the rental market, what it tells me is that it might be just a mismanaged property management company that just sticks a tenant in there and they can't pay. But usually it comes down to the neighborhood. People moving in and out. It's not a good area, somewhere that I would want to live. Also, what we can see here is that the property was for sale back in 2020. Properties that change hands every 2 to 3 years, it's kind of a green flag or a red flag. After about 4 to 5 years, the property is sold. That's kind of a long hold time, which isn't worrisome. But properties that change hands over and over and over again, that have a long history of buying, selling, listing, remove, it's kind of a red flag because, like I said, it's probably the neighborhood. So when looking at this property, just to give you a quick underwriting of what this property looks like, if our rent for the property is going to be about $1,250, and I looked at it, the good way to tell rent is on Zillow. You just look at the neighborhoods, look what other properties are renting for that are comparable to a 3-bed, 2-bath, about 1,200 square foot house. You kind of get a general estimate. I would like to be conservative with the numbers, so we're going to call that $1,250. It's going to call it $1,200 because it's been on the market for a while, so I'm probably going to need a $50 reduction in rent. So let's call it just $1,200 for easy numbers. So at $160,000 purchase, your rent is looking about $968. So out of the $1,200, I have a property management company that manages all the. I don't own it; it's a third party that owns. I definitely suggest having them manage property, especially if you're not there, boots on the ground in the States. especially once you get up to 3, 4, 5 rental properties. It's much easier to have them just manage. So I pay my property management company is usually about 8 to 9% of the gross rent. So $1,200, let's just call it $100. So that's $1,100 in rent. Minus your $968. Let's like to take an extra $100 off of that for any maintenance, anything that comes up with the property. So you're looking at about $1,000. So you can see there's not much spread in this deal, meaning there's not much cash on cash return. Cash on cash return is how much money you get at the end of every single month in your pocket after mortgage, after maintenance, after property management company, after all of those expenses, how much are you getting back into your pocket? So the cool thing about real estate investing is there's a lot of profit drivers, meaning cash on cash is one thing that we look at right now to look at, do the numbers work? Every single month, am I gonna be in the green or am I gonna be in the red? Okay, so that's one profit driver. The other profit driver is called depreciation, which you probably always hear about all these people that own millions of dollars of real estate, hundreds of million dollars, and on paper, they don't pay anything in taxes. That's called depreciation of the asset. So there's something called forced depreciation, which is a lot more complicated, but rental real estate, you can depreciate over 27.5 years. So what does that mean? Well, you get a third-party assessor to come look at the property, and let's say the land value of this property for easy numbers is $60,000. The $100,000 of cost is the structure itself. Well, Uncle Sam says, hey, that property is actually decreasing in value every single year over 27.5 years. So you take $100,000 and you divide it by 27.5 years. So every year that property is actually losing value every single year, which you can defer and use that as a tax deduction off of your cash flow. I know it's kind of confusing because the property is depreciating. Hey, listen, I don't ask questions, I just own real estate. So Uncle Sam says, hey, you can depreciate the asset, even though the property itself is appreciating in value, which is another profit driver, is that this property, if everything goes well, on average about 3 to 4% every single year is appreciating in value. I don't try to buy property off of the fact that, hey, it's gonna be worth more next year. It's kind of a cherry on top. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, no worries. So that's another benefit. Another benefit is called the principal paydown. So out of this property right here, this mortgage payment, $968, a 30-year loan is amortized. So if you look at an amortization table, a lot of the interest is front-loaded, meaning that you got to pay the bank to play, right? You got to basically pay the bank a lot of interest the first 5 years of the loan. So you're renting the house from the bank. So a lot of this is interest. Probably 3/4 of this monthly cost is going to be interest to the bank, and then probably 1/4 of that for the first few years is actually just going down. The payment is going towards paying down your loan. So remember, the loan on this property is the difference between your down payment and your home price. Your loan, you're looking at about $128,000. So about 1/4 of this monthly payment, so let's say, $150, $200 every single month, is going towards paying down that loan. So you have the home appreciating over time plus the principal pay down of the loan decreasing. So you kind of have this push and pull scenario, which causes your property to increase in equity. So that's why 5-10 years with all of these moving levers going at the same time, after 10-20 years, it's kind of a snowball effect. That's when owning one of these properties doesn't really change anything, but when you stack these properties and do the same thing over and over and over again, you start to own, 5, 10, 15, 20, the numbers start to really stack up over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So start with one. The first property is the hardest, and it's rinse and repeat, same thing over and over again. You don't really have to be a genius to do real estate investing. You just gotta be patient in my eyes. I like deals where I can just underwrite on a napkin. If it gets too complicated, if I need an Excel spreadsheet or something of that sort, it's out of my wheelhouse. I kind of stay in my circle of competence. So single family is great. People have private ownership, so